Hello and welcome back. So, a few things that have come up in the press very recently is the fact that Jeremy Hunt has somehow got to find £9 billion in spare change to actually make the whole system about the tax reduced by 2 pence actually economically feasible. Despite there's numerous calls to economic experts, doctors, management from the NHS, and there's probably going to be a lot more people in store who are going to come out and say that Jeremy Hunt's attempts are completely infeasible and they're going to completely implode the economy. Kind of very similar to Kwasi Kwarteng did. And just like Mr. Kwarteng, he decided, and probably Jeremy Hunt will take this on board as well, by completely ignoring all sane and sound advice that's ever given to them. And the only way that they're actually going to feasibly make this happen is by cutting a lot of funding towards things like schools, building, housing, the police, the NHS, the fire departments, the Coast Guard, and probably the list goes on and on. The things that we take advantage of and use every single day of our lives. Not only the things we use, but the things we depend, the things that we rely upon, the things that, keep us safe, the things that keep us healthy, the thing that keeps us, food in our bellies, the things that keeps our houses warm at night, the things that make sure that the roof doesn't come down. There's a lot of key things into this because, again, £9 billion has got to come from somewhere, and whether or not Jeremy Hunt likes it or not, there's no magic money tree apart from when we can just find money to send to France to deal with the issue of migration, and yet all the Daily Express seem to think to do is that the French are just irresponsible with the money that we gave them. You know what I mean? It's becoming a little bit evident, ladies and gentlemen, in recent times, is that I know you've probably heard me mention this expression before, but I like to imagine what's going on right now and what the press are talking about from one issue of the Metro, they describing how there's an epidemic of children dying in apartments that are, quite frankly, not fit for human habitation, through things like black mold and, places being fire hazards. There was, outside of Grenfell, there was a series of apartments in Spain that burned to the ground not less than a week ago, in which at least 17 people died, and they said that the actual structure of the building was as a result of inferior flammable cladding. Does that sound familiar to you? Because, well, what's to say Jeremy Hunt looking towards Rishi Sunak and looking to the rest of his party and saying, you know what? We want housing. We'll build cheaper housing. And you know what? Let's literally get more cladding. Or even that ridiculous story a couple of weeks ago. Let's build housing from straw. As if straw is any less flammable than aluminium cladding. But you be the judge of that. Would you want to live in a straw house, if that makes sense? I personally wouldn't. But again, I think that's just because, again, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night thinking that, oh God, is someone going to come and torch my house down? Because, okay, outside of, straw housing, well, where are we going to build these straw houses? And what happens if a giant wolf comes? And what happens if 3 little piggies come running along seeking refuge? You know what I mean? So, like I said, with all this going on and all of these backdoor shenanigans about what the actual cost of the government's incompetency is going to result amid such a huge and vast claim as a 2p tax cut, we also need to remind ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, that the press, both Tory and Labour aside, they like to employ tactics that I like to call look over there. And in case you're wondering what look over there means, it means that while there is a new story, like a very current story breaking out of related to the incompetency and the backstabbingness and the general hypocrisy of politics is going on, the Daily Mail or the Daily Mirror like to employ tactics called look over there, which means that, look, thanks to a investigation that the Daily Mail has covered, we've managed to uncover. Whether any of this is true, I'll leave up for you to decide, because I have my doubts and suspicions. is that so many care home workers who are migrants or who aren't born in this country are doing this, that, and the other. Take a look at that. Or when it's in the case of Prince Andrew, it's always, look over there. Richie Sunak and Jeremy Hunt might actually pull off a miracle. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind the fact that we praise and we kiss the asses of the monarchy, but look over there. Look what's happening over there. You see what I'm trying to get at? As such, I think the only paper, in my opinion, that actually merits like any sort of level of respect due to its actual cutthroat, no-nonsense truths of the matter is absolutely The Guardian. You know what? Yes, I read The Guardian. You know what? Say whatever you want about me. They don't pussyfoot around these sort of things. And I think in this modern day and age, I know fine well people don't necessarily like hearing the truth because it always means bad news is coming. But you know what? Bad news may be coming, but it's also not in our duty to prepare for it. And that's kind of like the thing I wanted to sum up this video on, is that we know fine well that the government is irresponsible with our money. We know they are very unaccountable for any of the issues they've caused and the issues they are still perpetually causing because of their decisions and their behaviours. And that they seem to say that democracy is under threat just because, again, they lost an election that to somebody they don't like, let alone the fact that their policies, Galloway's policies, may be different to that of the party, of the Conservatives or the Tories. But it's clearly gotten Sunak troubled enough to think that, you know what, is this a changing of the guard at last after 14 years? But you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, is that even though all of these things are going on, in the real world, I mean, things are actually happening in our communities, from the way we know our friends, our neighbours, our loved ones. It doesn't mean to say we have the right to be, unaccountable and unreliable and unresponsible. Remember, we are not like them because they know nothing about people like us. And that's why I think it's more important than ever that we just learn to get along with each other and we try and make things work with each other. As I've said before, ladies and gentlemen, remember the old adage that I keep putting out on this, is that we should be learning how to work together, not fight each other. There's enough conflicts going on in the world right now. Do you really think that, you know what, saying that war, not peace is the actual quote for the moment? No, I don't think so. Thank you for listening.